Afternoon. This is Kathy Salisbury, the director of the Ambler Arboretum of Temple University. And today the Arboretum education at home is all about fruits and the different types of fruits that you can find on the plants here at the Arboretum and probably in your local landscape. And we're starting today with the southern magnolia fruit. So here we have a southern magnolia, and before this fruit, this was a flower about the size of your face, very fragrant, pure white, just really stunning. You can visit our Instagram page, Arboretum, Ambler Arboretum Temple U, and see a video of the flower of southern magnolia. And once the flower's finished and it's been pollinated, this forms. And this type of fruit is, some people call it a magnolia cone, but all magnolias have what's called an aggregate of follicles. And a follicle is a fruit that has a seam on one side, and it'll break open on just one side, and then the seeds will emerge. And so eventually on this magnolia pod, this aggregate of follicles, these will split open. Each one of these will split open here, revealing an orange or red seed, and they'll eventually be dispersed. But this cone is actually a cluster of seeds, and those types of fruits are known as follicles, and this is an aggregate of follicles. So that's one type of fruit you might encounter when you're out exploring nature. And here we have a follicle. So this is Dogbane here, and this is related to milkweeds. And so you see this long pod. So here they are green. Here you can kind of see them there. They're kind of green, long, kind of look like green beans, but they're not. Don't eat them. And here you see a mature one where it's actually split down the center. And so the fact that this had one seam on it, and it split on that one seam to reveal its seed, makes it a follicle. And the milkweed pods that you might see with all the fluff flying out of them, that also is a follicle. And so if you take a look at it, you'll notice that it only split on one side. And so when we talked about magnolias and how they're an aggregate of follicles, they're a collection of these follicles, these one-seamed, one-sided dehiscent capsules here. So this is Dogbane, and this is a capsule for its fruit. And I must show you, since I'm here, and I just love them, the Dogbane leaf beetle, which is like a little walking rainbow. Can you see him there? Look how pretty he is. Amazing. Another type of fruit you may encounter as you're wandering around is a Samara. And Samaras are a type of winged fruit, and they're indehiscent. So when describing fruit, one of the categories for splitting them up is dehiscence. And dehiscence basically means, does it split open to reveal its seed, or does it have to go through another process for its seed to be revealed because it won't split open? And in this case, the Samara, this is a winged fruit. And so maples are known for having Samaras. They're sort of the poster child for Samaras. But other types of trees have Samaras too. Ashes and elms have Samaras. And so it's just a type of winged seed. In this case, in maples, they're generally double. So these are actually two Samaras kind of stuck together there. Some of you might remember these as helicopters, or use them as mustaches on your face. And these are indehiscent, which means that the seed that's contained in there will become exposed through some other process. It might be through weather or through the digestive system of an animal. And so that is what indehiscent means. So a Samara is an indehiscent winged seed. And this particular Samara on this is trident maple. So winged seed, Samara. So here we have crabapple fruits, and these are actually pomes, P-O-M-E, just like apples. And a pome is a fleshy fruit that surrounds a harder core. So if you think of the core of an apple that is kind of really tough, fibrous, and not really great to eat, that defines a pome. And the core of the pome is actually a modified floral tube that is kind of hardened, and the seeds are located in there, and then there's this fleshy outer material. And so you know now that your apples and crab apples are actually pome types of fruit. And if I said to you, hey, let's go berry picking, you might imagine raspberries or blueberries, but you might not imagine a pawpaw. But botanically speaking, pawpaws are technically berries. And a berry is a fleshy fruit which develops from a single pistil that has several or many seeds inside. And so that fits a pawpaw description exactly. When you peel into this green or yellowish green outer covering, that exposes this yellow fleshy material inside that some people really enjoy eating. And then there's a number of large seeds in the center. And so pawpaws are berries. Tomatoes also are berries. Interesting, isn't it? To think of those as similar fruits. And here in my hand I have the nuts of black walnut. And so these are prized by wildlife and they are edible. But a nut is a hard, dry, indehiscent fruit, usually with a single seed inside it. And so what we're looking at here, this green cover, you can see that there's no seams in here. So that means it doesn't split open. It has to be damaged in some way to expose the fruit. And generally that's through wildlife digging at it and chewing on it and scratching at it to get to the walnut meat inside. So again, a nut is a hard, dry, indehiscent fruit with usually a single seed inside. And I bet you can guess what these are. Can you guess what kind of tree it's from? Yes, so these are acorns. And acorns are a hard, dry, indehiscent fruit of oak trees. And you can use them for identification. They have different shapes and sizes and even colors and patterns. And you can tell a lot by the size of the cap on the acorn and how much room of the nut itself the cap takes up to use for identification. And the fact that this one is very shallow cap here tells you, is a clue that it might be a red oak acorn. Acorns are only on oak trees. So if you see acorns, you can be pretty certain that what you're looking at is an oak tree. And that's helpful because some oaks might trick you. You might not realize that you're looking at an oak tree until you see the acorn. The last type of fruit that we're going to cover today is actually one of my favorite plants. And this is called bladder nut. And the fruits of the bladder nut are actually capsules. And though they don't look it right now, the green ones here, you can see by that brown one there, they are the dry, dehiscent fruit, so they'll split open. And they're composed of more than one carpel. And so the carpel is the pistil, the female reproductive part. So there's multiple in there. And so you'll find multiple seeds inside. And usually they're in chambers that are divided up. And so that is the case with the bladder nut. So you can see here that there's kind of three sections there. And you'll find seeds inside them. It's called bladder nut because it looks kind of puffy. So that is a capsule. So you'll see all different types of fruits when you're out looking at plants. And they all have different names and they all help you with identifying what you're looking at. And it's interesting to think that a pawpaw is a berry and that maybe, and a crabapple is a pome, and that maybe we've been calling them something different all this time. So now you know a little bit more about the fruits around the Ambler Arboretum, and hopefully that gives you some more information about the natural world around you. We can't wait to see you in the gardens and are looking forward to doing these walks in person with you soon. Take care.